L-Theanine versus L-Tyrosine. Which one is the best one? Which one's actually the best one for you? That's what we're gonna dive in right now. So first off, let's look at the similarities between these two, because there is definitely a lot of similarities between L-Tyrosine and L-Theanine. The very first one is both L-Tyrosine and L-Theanine are really good for mood regulation. They have been shown in research, and also when I've actually used this with patients, to really help regulate our mood, because both of them are very effective increasing levels of dopamine and serotonin, which do impact our mood, whether we're going to feel more depressed if we have low serotonin levels, or have lack of motivation and drive if we have low dopamine levels. Now, both L-Tyrosine and as well as L-Theanine, both are really important amino acids that do help build specific neurotransmitters, which are our brain chemistry, that help regulate our focus, our mood, as well as our energy and sleep. So many things that happen with our brain chemistry. Also, L-Theanine and L-Tyrosine have been both shown to actually help with cognitive functionality, such as attention, memory, as well as reaction time. Now, let's talk about the differences, and this is where we can kind of separate to see which one is the true winner or which one is actually best for you. So if we actually look at the chemical composition of both these, L-Theanine and also L-Tyrosine are both amino acids, but L-Theanine is primarily found in tea leaves like green tea, whereas L-Tyrosine, on the other hand, it's a non-essential amino acid because we can get it from our food. However, people that have like ADHD sometimes have a hard time actually converting phenylalanine into tyrosine, so therefore sometimes we have to actually supplement tyrosine depending on the deficiency levels that we do find with people with ADHD and other mental health issues. Now, as far as the effects on the brain, L-Theanine has definitely shown where it improves things such as alpha brain waves. This can definitely help improve our sleep, as well as regulate our stress levels and anxiety, which then leads into more of a calming effect, which can impact our focus, whereas L-Tyrosine specifically targets and helps improve things such as focus and alertness, because it's directly a precursor to dopamine, and we know dopamine has a lot to do with specifically with motivation, drive, and focus. Now, speaking of stress responses, when it comes to actually L-Theanine, the fascinating thing, it has been shown that it helps with both the physiological as well as the psychological stressors that are indicated with us every day. So L-Theanine has shown to actually reduce heart rate as well as reduce cortisol, which spikes when we are very stressed out. So L-Theanine has proven to lower these levels. Versus L-Tyrosine, what this does, it actually helps reduce cognitive function decline when it's due to stress. Now, when it comes to physical performance, L-Tyrosine has shown in research that it can improve cognitive and physical performance during stress acute situations. So a great example that they've seen this in research is they had people take L-Tyrosine before a physical exam, and they found that they performed better, especially in a stressful situation. Versus L-Theanine hasn't really shown any benefits specifically to help with physical performance. So that's where you see the differences between L-Tyrosine and L-Theanine. Now, when it comes to sleep quality, L-Theanine has plenty of research where it does improve significantly your sleep, especially when it's due to something like stress, where I find where I have patients that are struggling with stress and can't sleep because of having high anxiety. L-Theanine can be great, and it also something can be really grateful for calming the body. Versus L-Tyrosine hasn't really shown any kind of evidence that actually does improve quality of sleep. Now, if you're looking for further supplements that can improve your focus and your mental health, then download my focus guide in the description below. Okay, so now that we looked at the differences, let me kind of share with you specifically how I use these two different types of amino acids, specifically with my patients and myself included. Now, when it comes to L-Tyrosine, after I have actually run a specific amino acid test looking at several different amino acids, even L-Tyrosine, if I see low levels of tyrosine, then of course that is going to be an indicator for me to implement it, and that's where my patients will see a big difference of it actually being effective for them. If the tyrosine levels are not low, and in fact they might be elevated, then you will not see any changes, and this is where it might not benefit you at all. But also sometimes if I'm not doing testing and people are looking for recommendations, if you do have issues with focus, motivation, symptoms of also lack of drive and clarity of mind, L-Tyrosine can be very effective if you tend to be deficient deficient in tyrosine levels. On top of that, I'm also looking at neurotransmitters that could be also deficient to actually justify using something like tyrosine. So sometimes if I see tyrosine levels are fine, but I see dopamine levels as well as norepinephrine levels are really low, sometimes increasing levels of tyrosine can still be beneficial in that way. Now, on the other hand, looking at L-Theanine, this is where I specifically will still look at specific neurotransmitters because L-Theanine does help, like I said before, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Now, what I love about L-Theanine is when I do run these tests, I'm specifically seeing if they're high or low. Now, the great thing about L-Theanine, whether these neurotransmitter levels are too high or too low, L-Theanine is great for both case scenarios, which is why I tend to actually use L-Theanine probably more and prescribe it more to my patients more than L-Tyrosine because I do see these variances with my ADHD patients. But another sign that I also look at is signs and symptoms, even without the testing. If I have a patient that has high stress, anxiety, and can't sleep very well, especially due to stress, then definitely something I will recommend is L-Theanine. Or if they can't focus throughout the day because they have such high anxiety and panic attacks, L-Theanine is always a great thing to implement that people find very beneficial to them. So which one of these is best? Is L-Tyrosine better for you or is L-Theanine better for you? What I would tell you is look at your current symptoms that you're dealing with. Are you having more of a motivation and focus issue? Then maybe L-Tyrosine might be beneficial. Are you more high stressed and having poor quality sleep and maybe not good focus throughout the day because you're high stressed? Then L-Theanine might be a better option. So you have to really look at that. Now, if you really want a tiebreaker to understand which one is the true best one, then you could watch my experience of taking L-Theanine, L-Tyrosine separately for 30 days. So if you want to watch my experience of taking L-Tyrosine for 30 days, then watch this video over here. If you want to watch my experience taking L-Theanine for 30 days, then watch this video over here. That will be the true actually tiebreaker. So watch one of these videos.